Spotlight on Berkeley Heights is provided by funding from DeFabio Chiropractic, where integrity, thoroughness, and a friendly staff have been servicing the community since 1985. DeFabio Chiropractic is where an accurate diagnosis leads to rapid pain relief and better function. Located on Springfield Avenue in Berkeley Heights, it's the natural choice for your healthcare needs.
Hi, I'm Dr. Donald DeFabio, and welcome to Spotlight on Berkeley Heights, the pulse of the community. Berkeley Heights is a great community. There's a lot of things going on. Every now and then, something comes along which really starts to stir things up, and I think we have one of those polarizing issues we need to talk about tonight. It's about the Berkeley Aquatic Club, and my guest is Mr. Jim Wood, the head coach as well as the owner of Berkeley Aquatic, who's going to give us some insight about what's happening. Jim, I really appreciate your time tonight. Thanks for being with us in Spotlight.
No, I really appreciate the opportunity, Dr. D. Thank you.
That's what it's all about. Now, a question I have for you. Let's start out an easy one. Tell us a little about Berkeley Aquatic. What is it? Who are you?
Well, I'm a lifelong resident of New Providence. 36 years ago, myself and Michael Del Duca started. Oh, wow. His dad used to own the facility.
Okay.
And so Mike and I started the program 36 years ago. And from the beginning, the program really was based on offering opportunities for young people to reach their potential and reach their goals. The program basically is a competitive swimming team.
Okay.
We have a swim school with about 5,000 or 6,000 kids a year that go through our swim school.
Wow.
We have a master's program to help with adult fitness. We have swim lessons for adults that we have going from younger ages of 18 all the way on through people in their 80s. And it's basically been a service to the community for the past 36 years. We also do offer free opportunities for Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, when they're working on their merit badges and stuff that they need for scouting, to state police, to local police when they're doing stuff that they may need to be doing for their jobs. And we've been offering those services for a number of years.
So you've been in town for 36 years?
It's our 36th year, correct.
Wonderful, wonderful. How do you like it here?
I love the area. I grew up in New Providence. I think it's a great spot to have a business and a great spot to offer programs like we do.
Mm-hmm. So the Berkeley Aquatic Club is a swim club.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Any other services available there besides swimming
and
learn to swim? And
no, that's pretty much it. It's a very small facility. Mm-hmm. Used to be an old greenhouse.
Okay.
And when it
back in the day,
back in the 40s and 50s, and it became less expensive to import flowers and to grow your own flowers.
Got it.
So they converted it into a swimming pool, and the other part of the greenhouse they converted into an ice skating rink.
Oh, neat.
And this was back in the 50s and early 60s, and eventually it became too much, so they bulldozed the other part of the greenhouse where the ice skating ring is, and what's left there now is the swimming pool.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yep. So now you're also involved with USA Swimming, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. I've been
in what capacity?
Currently now I'm president of what's called United States Aquatic Sports. The International Swimming Federation is called FINA, and each country has to have a group that oversees all aquatics. Okay. So my role currently right now oversees swimming, diving, water polo, synchronized swimming, masters, and open water. Prior to 2010, I was the president of United States Swimming, and prior to that I was in charge of our Olympic International operations. Okay.
So USA Swimming is the governing arm of the
swimming
in the United States for the Olympic Development Program, correct?
That is correct. Years ago, the Ted Stevens Amateur Act created national governing bodies for each sport.
Exactly.
And USA Swimming is a national governing body for swimming, for aquatics.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, great. So recently, you started thinking about expanding Berkeley Aquatic, correct?
Yeah, we started to think about it probably about 10 or 15 years ago, but actually started to act on it about 9 years ago.
Mm-hmm. And why? What was the reason?
There's several things. Our overriding mission from the very beginning was to help kids reach their potential, and we've done very well on that over the years. We've had Olympic champions. Our athletes have medaled in every single level of international competition. We've won 57 state championships, but I still think we can do a better job in a more modern facility. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So one of my goals is to try to create a better environment in a more modern facility for the athletes that we currently have. We also turn away thousands of athletes a year. Mm-hmm. And we've always prided ourselves, and anytime I give a talk or talk about what I think the role of a coach is I don't think the role of a coach is just making kids faster swimmers, but I think it's taking young people and helping them become better adults.
Well, I mean, you mentioned now twice you want to really help kids reach their potential. Does that just mean get them to swim faster in medals?
No, that's what.
So, I mean, can you elaborate on that? Because you really mentioned it twice. Now,
Yeah.
what does that mean to you for a kid to reach their potential?
Yeah, and what I kind of said at the end of that statement is that I think, you know, our goal is, again, to have them reach their potential, but our goal is to not just necessarily take a young athlete and make them a better athlete, but to take a young person and give them the tools to become a better adult.
Okay.
I've
How does that play into sports? How does sports play into that?
Oh, I think sports plays into it as much as school plays into it, as much as family upbringing plays into it. I think taking part in a sport, any sport, you know, where you learn dedication, you learn determination, you learn hard work, you learn teammanship, you learn the importance of setting goals, you learn how to handle success and how to handle failure.
Yeah.
You know, they both go hand in hand.
Exactly.
And I think it's really important to have the good positive atmosphere and good role models as you're going through life to help reinforce what you're learning at home, to help reinforce what you're learning in school, to help reinforce what you're learning in church. And swimming is just my medium. I'm a teacher.
Sure. Okay.
Okay, and you know, I'm not going to say a teacher of life, but I sure like to believe that the things we're teaching, like integrity and the rest of the stuff, are things that kids need to bring forward in the rest of their life to become better adults.
Excellent. No, that makes sense. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry to interrupt you. So
No, that's right.
You were talking about you want to reach more kids because you've been turning kids
Yep.
away. And was that the primary impetus for thinking about expansion?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was probably the only impetus. It wasn't financial. You know, with the amount that this new facility is going to cost and the mortgage we're going to have on it, the finances aren't going to be any more positive. It was strictly to offer more opportunities to kids.
Now, how many, you said new facility, you've been looking for a new facility for 9 years. How many sites have you looked at?
Well, this is our 51st site that we've looked at, and not just driven by and said that looks pretty cool, but I've been actually doing some due diligence on it. But this area is a challenging area to build in. There's an awful lot of wetlands, there's an awful lot of environmental issues. So you really needed to look for a spot where you could be in a position where there weren't environmental issues, there were not endangered species issues, there were not wetlands issues, preferably that it was zoned correctly, because it's a really high bar to get over when you have to go through Board of Adjustments, you know, rather than straight to a
What kind
planning
of zoning
board.
do you need? Business, residential?
It varies town by town.
Town by town.
Okay,
varies.
town by town it'll vary. They all have their different, you know, zoning where pools can be built, the recreational facilities can be built.
Falls one and the same? You basically are a recreational facility, or are you a special?
Again, certain towns like Warren has 3 zones, 2 of which are just for recreational facilities, and 1 are for recreational facilities with pools.
Got it.
You know, you couldn't build it. So it can be very specific zoning based on the town.
Yeah.
And then we wanted to also be close to a spot where we had, you know, some major thoroughfares, so we didn't have to do a lot of stuff in the back roads of towns. And the site turned out to be an ideal one after 9 years of looking. Yeah.
Well, you know, Jim, thank you for giving me this background. Now we're going to segue into what's going on, the new site or the
Okay.
current site. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, I want to jump in and find out about this new site, which does have some polarizing issues to the community, I believe.
Absolutely.
I'm Dr. Donald DeFabio. My guest is Jim Wood, the owner and head coach over at Berkeley Aquatic. We'll be right back.
Humans may have been sitting since the caveman days, but apparently we're now overdoing something that's giving many of us chronic lower back pain. What? Driving. According to experts, millions of Americans experience the most common form of back pain, muscle tension, the result of drivers remaining in a static position while maintaining a heightened sense of awareness. Doctors of chiropractic are trained to improve structural positioning and can offer preventive expert advice. Learn more at yes2chiropractic.com.
Welcome back to the show, and we're with Jim Wood, and we're going to be talking a little bit more about this new property that I've found. I guess number 51, and tell me a little bit about your current property before we propose a facility. First of all, what are you proposing? You would say a facility. You're just putting in a pool?
No, we're putting in a number of pools. It's currently we exist in a 25-yard 6-lane pool.
Okay.
The Olympic distance is 50 meters. It's a real advantage for athletes that are training at an elite level or athletes that are just training aerobically to be able to swim in a 50-meter pool.
It's called long course.
That's called long course, that's correct.
Okay.
And this pool is actually the pool that was used in Olympic trials in Long Beach, California.
In the physical pool.
The physical pool.
That's cool.
Correct. Yeah,
That's cool.
the new technology is I don't want to call them erector sets, but they are stainless steel pools that can be disassembled and moved to another site. or they can be put in somewhere permanently, and our intention will be put it in permanently.
So you're going to put in several Olympic-sized pools?
No, we're going to put in one 50-meter pool.
Okay.
With attached to it would be 3 25-meter lanes also. So it could be long court, it could be warming up at swim meets, or it could be used for adult fitness, et
So
cetera.
it's going to be basically 2 50-meter pools?
No, one 50-meter pool, and then, kind of hard to describe, but then kind of a little bit in L shape, there'll be 3 25-meter lanes along with it next to it.
Got it. Just
And-
3
and
lanes, though, for like
just-
warming up or
That's
small.
correct. Or run, it'll be a little bit shallower. We can run adult fitness classes. We could run lessons and stuff like that.
Got it.
Along with that, we're also going to build a teaching pool, a 50-foot by 30-foot teaching pool.
Like the little guys?
Yeah, for the little guys and for the majority of our swim lessons right now that we run.
Okay. So it's like what, 3 foot deep?
Yeah,
teaching pool?
it's going to vary from 2.5 foot to about 4 foot.
Okay.
The main reason splitting it off is currently we're kind of restricted because we have one facility, so all the water has to be the same temperature. And what works for a competitive swimmer is not the same thing that would work for a 3-year-old taking beginning swim lessons. You know, there's a real temperature variance on that. So this will give us the opportunity to have it in a separate area where the focus can be on teaching lessons, in a pool that's a little bit warmer, which is more suitable for
and
younger
also
kids.
for the instructors that are standing there for
And
hours
all day
and hours
long in
on.
that water,
You
correct.
don't want cooler water.
Right, it's going to have a soft bottom, so it's good on your feet to stand on
Oh,
and
neat.
stuff like that. So there's a number of different things.
All right, so you got the teaching pool, now the warm-up lanes and the 50 meters, same temperature?
Yes, they'll be the same temperature, they'll be the same pool.
All right.
And then we're going to put in a third pool, which is going to be an aquatherapy pool.
Oh, neat.
We've been speaking to a number of folks in the medical field and in other
Highly needed
areas.
around here.
Highly needed.
Highly needed. Yeah.
And the older the population gets, the more it's going to be needed.
Yeah. No, there's a huge need for that around here.
And then the rest of the stuff will be the ancillary stuff that goes with it. We'll have a dry land, a weight room that we currently have, much smaller at Berkeley, and we'll have the offices and all the rest of the stuff that we need.
Diving?
Yeah. No diving.
No diving.
No.
Okay. Water polo?
We are going to, because we have the expanded space, we're going to put water polo in, and we're also looking to put in synchro, but we might put in synchro in our current facility.
So you're looking to add, you're not going to close the current facility?
We're going to close it for about 6 months at the beginning, just so we can focus on the new facility, not have to worry about the other one. But then our intention is to reopen it. There's so much of a need for water polo, so much of a need for diving. Synchro, so much of a need for scuba diving and some other things in this area that we just don't have the time to put in. We don't have to be on the room and the time. So we're going to try to reopen up our pool after 6 months or so and add some of those other things for people to take part in.
Okay, so that's when we say the facility, that's what we're
That is
putting in.
correct.
Okay.
That is correct.
So now we got a place. Tell me about the land.
The land's ideal. You know, you hate to say that you went through 9 years looking at a piece of land, you know, and stepping into the last piece, that's the ideal one. This was actually the third piece of property that we looked at. But there was one owner who owned 8 acres, and you need more space than that. Zoning requires more space than that in Warren. So we couldn't do anything with it. The land was too small. But literally, as our situation before this started falling through because of zoning issues, this individual called me up and said, you know, I still have that land. And I responded to him, well, it's still too small. Okay? And he responded, well, my 2 people next door also have an interest in selling. So I sat down with him. I sat down with the 2, one is a corporation, one is an individual next to him, and the total piece of land came out to be about 25 acres.
Wow.
I went to Warren to check with the town planner. I didn't want to go through another Board of Adjustment situation. They asked me if this land was zoned correctly, and he did some research, he did some stuff, and he said yes. He said this
So
is
you're looking at 25 acres of land
25 acres of land
in Warren.
in Warren.
Well, okay, go ahead.
Directly off of Route 78.
Okay.
Where exit 40 comes, as you get off of exit 40, our property is directly there. So that the large part of our clientele are going to be coming in off of Route 78.
Where do most of your swimmers come from now? Do you have a demographics? Have you done a demographic study?
Yeah, we've done a demographic study. I can't quote you exactly the numbers, but I'd say the majority of our people come from Summit, Chatham, Berkeley Heights, New Providence.
Local.
Basking Ridge, a lot of folks from Long Hill Township. But we do have a percentage that come from a pretty long way. You know, we'll have some people that'll drive competitively, not on the swim school. Swim school is very localized.
Got it.
But on the competitive team, we'll have people that'll drive 40, 50 minutes a day to come and train.
How often does your competitive team train?
Depends on the level. Our senior team will train twice a day. You know, they'll have 9 workouts a week, or some of our younger kids will come in twice a week for 40 minutes. So it just varies on the level of the athlete.
So if you're looking at some property in Warren, you got people coming locally, you got people coming from a distance. Sounds like there's going to be a lot of traffic in town, Jim. Sounds like you're going to be driving a lot of congestion on roads that aren't ready for it.
Well, actually, we're going to have less congestion in Berkeley Heights because currently, right now, we're going to go from about a 250-member club to about a 400-member club. Currently, every single person that comes to our facility must travel on Berkeley Heights roads. Okay, based on the traffic studies that we've done, at least 60% of the people coming to our new facility will be traveling on Route 78. So we actually are going to be cutting down. We're going to have less traffic traveling through Berkeley Heights on a new facility than our current facility.
What about the local roads? Emerson Lane's not happy about you
No,
at all.
Emerson Lane is
Now,
very.
why aren't they happy with you?
Well, they don't want the traffic there, and
Well, there you go.
And they don't want the facility there. That's a valid point, except the very first meeting that we had with them, okay, with Warren, Warren asked us about that issue, and we told them the number one thing that we would do is we have a road, Watchung Heights Avenue, that sits on Emerson as an ideal way to get into our facility, and we told them we'd close off that road completely so that there's no advantage whatsoever to traveling on Emerson to get into our facility.
So the only way to get in
is off of Hillcrest Road, which runs directly into 78, or it comes to Mountain Avenue or down to Valley Road, Springfield Avenue.
Okay.
There will be no access from Emerson Road. And everything we've done on our traffic study show that there is no advantage whatsoever for somebody to come down Emerson Road other than those two roads, unless they live on Emerson Line.
Okay. So that's one of the sticking points is that just going to, now why, assuming that really happens, why would your facility be a problem off of Emerson? How close is it going to be to Emerson? Because that's a kind of really residential, rural, you know, that's got an old school feel to it, so to speak. You know, are you going to be encroaching on the feel of that part of town? You know, people like Emerson because it's different. It's not, you know, built up like the rest of the community. It's not, you know, Diamond Hill.
Of course we will. You know, there will be people that live, I'm not going to say no, it's not going to affect anybody. There will be people that live, there's 3 houses that live directly where our property are going to be. 2 of them are okay with the facility being there. One doesn't want the facility to be there.
Okay.
As you go further down into Berkeley Heights, and those aren't even in Berkeley Heights properties, those are Warren properties. As you go further into Berkeley Heights, the closest road is Rogers off of Emerson, and they're going to sit several hundred yards away from where the facility is being built.
Okay.
All the woods are going to be there, the field is going to be there.
Right.
You know, and the point that's still very important to realize in all this, it's zoned for this.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, whereas it is going to be a change in that neighborhood, I live right now 1 block away from the football field in New Providence High School, 2 blocks away from the New Providence Community Pool, and it has never affected my lifestyle. If anything, it's been positive. It hasn't affected at all the cost of my house, the value of my house. You know, I actually enjoy being part of a community where kids are playing, where, you know, people, you know, there's lots of people that would say living close to a pool would be something that they'd really like to do.
Yeah. Right. Well, that makes sense. So I'm going to take a short break, but really, I got to ask you something almost more important.
Okay.
We're talking about Warren land. This is Spotlight on Berkeley Heights.
Correct.
I want to find out how all this impacts Berkeley Heights.
Sounds
that's
good.
going to be the next question for you. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back.
Are you or your child at risk because of the weight of your handbag or backpack?
Heavy bags can strain your back, arms, neck, and shoulders. That's why handbags should weigh only a pound or 2, and backpacks no more than 10 to 15% a child's own weight.
Learn more at yes2chiropractic.com.
Welcome back to the show. I'm Dr. Donald DeFabio, and we've been discussing some changes that might be happening in town with Berkeley Aquatic Club. But Jim Wood, the president, head coach, you mentioned you're not leaving town. You mentioned, however, you are looking at property in Warren. This is Spotlight on Berkeley Heights. What has that got to do with Berkeley Heights? So, you know, why do we have to talk about this? Just go to Warren and get it done, Jim, and, you know, you can do your synchro and your polo in Berkeley Heights, and it'll be a happy situation.
Well, I wish it were that simple. That's what we've tried to do for the past 3 years in Warren. Well, Warren wants the pool, wants the facility there. You're right, it's their town, it's their zoning. They have been completely supportive, have really made us jump through hoops, you know, on stuff. But every single thing they've asked us to do, you know, even if we were way already within zoning requirements, we did it. You know, we changed the shape of the building, we moved our setbacks, we added, you know, special lights, you know, 2 or 3 different ways of buffering. You know, so we want to be good neighbors in Warren and in Berkeley Heights also.
You mentioned
And
you're going to cut off the access.
we're
to
cutting off the
Emerson
access from Emerson.
Avenue.
Yep. So we've done quite a bit.
So where does Berkeley Heights tie in?
Well, the land, Warren gets there's a section of Warren that gets their sewage from Berkeley Heights.
Okay.
It's a part of a contract
Or
and
Berkeley
agreement.
Heights' sewage comes from a section of Warren.
That is correct. That is correct. Oh, that's
Yeah,
it.
no, I understood what
Yeah,
you're saying.
got it. Yeah.
The rights to the sewage are governed
Yes.
through Berkeley Heights.
Yes, that is correct. And there's 123 lots that had to sign up for that years ago, and the lot that we're on was one of the lots that did that.
Okay.
And so that means we have the right to put our sewage to the Berkeley Heights sewer plant.
Right,
And
or that's just where it goes?
it's just the right to do it.
Okay.
Okay, the agreement is that Berkeley Heights will supply sewage to these lots,
Got it.
lots, right? It's a great revenue generator for Berkeley Heights.
How's that?
Well, at every single, virtually, the plant is running at about half capacity. Every single gallon that gets put in there, along with the associated fees, is profit to Berkeley Heights. The mayor himself has told me it's the second highest revenue generator in the town, other than
I know
taxes.
Long Hill, I believe, sends their sewage down here, some of it too.
Yeah, I think so, and I know Watchung does some, and New
like a
Providence
regional,
does some.
okay.
Yeah, correct.
But Jim,
Yeah.
we're talking sewage, we're not talking chlorinated water. Come
That
on,
i-
it's a pool, it's going to be chlorinated water.
Now,
You know?
it is chlorinated water when it's in the pool, but prior to putting it into the Berkeley Heights sewer system, you're required, by the DEP, to dechlorinate the water. So when you're backwashing, which is what sends water in there, you have backwashing is you backflowing the filters to clean them out, right? You have holding tanks where that water goes to, right? And you neutralize the chlorine before it gets put into the Berkeley Heights sewer system. That gets tested, there's monitoring right on it. It can be done just through letting it sit there for a period of time, or you can put in some neutralizing agents, which are also legal, and there's no industrial flow that comes out of there. There's no chlorinated water that goes out of there. Exactly the same thing that Lifetime Fitness does.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right, Lifetime's got, how many pools they have?
They have 3 pools there.
3 pools.
Yep.
How big, do you know?
Size of the pools are about the size that ours is.
Okay, so how much do you propose to dump in, how much water do you propose to jump into the Berkeley Heights system?
No more than 6,000 gallons a day.
Okay, I have no idea if that's a lot, but
Yeah, well,
that's what it
a
is.
house would be 1/20th of that.
Okay. How
Okay.
much is Lifetime dumping in? Do you have any idea?
A little bit more than that because the pools are the same size, but the building is 100,000 square foot, which is more than twice our size.
Yeah.
Okay, so, but I do not know how much they put in.
Okay.
But on their pools, they probably have the same amount of flow from their pools as we do from our pools.
All right.
Okay.
All right. So, how come you're getting pushback?
I don't know.
Because currently you don't have access to that. The council's pretty adamant
The-
that this is not going to happen.
The council was very adamant, and their reasons do not really ring true. All right.
Well, they feel they're to protect the town
Yep.
and the constituents. I'll get it out. That it's just not a good choice.
Yep, and I do not agree with that.
Okay.
Their comments, for a year and a half before it got before the official vote, several members have been working very hard behind the scenes to convince Warren to not approve this with no discussion concerning sewers. They just did not want the pool there.
Yeah.
All right. When it finally came up before the town council, this is after us having to talk to the Berkeley Heights Sewer Authority and get permission from them, an opinion from them that this was no problem at all with their capacity and their conveyance, which they did. The town then said we had to hire Omni Engineering, which is their engineering company, and throw this past Omni, and Omni came back and said there is no reason whatsoever why we should not accept their conveyance or for their sewer. So the 2 professional units that they asked, 2 professional organizations that they asked us to check with, both said okay. And we get to the town council meeting and we're voted down 5-1. A real surprise to us.
Yeah.
2 days later, I sit down with the mayor and town council president, and they said it's because we're going to run out of capacity. And
So
I said,
it's going to enable us not to continue to use the sewage plant.
yeah. So I said,
Okay.
where did that come from? I said, both of your sewer authority and your engineering company have said there's plenty of capacity. And so I asked to see the report that they based that on, and it just wasn't factual.
Yeah.
The report showed that after a 20-year build-out, the town would still have 500,000 gallons a day in excess capacity.
In excess capacity. 500,
500,000 gallons a day.
and you're proposing to dump how much in?
6,000.
6,000 a day.
Yep.
You know, it's getting heated. We got some lawsuits going on.
Yeah.
What's the? Do you have any lawsuits filed against the municipality right now?
Yeah, well, there's currently three lawsuits that are going on. One, some neighbors up in that area have filed an appeal. Somerset County found in our favor that this was a conforming use and it should be built there. Now they're appealing that. They've also said in blogs that they can continue to appeal it for years until we walk away. All right, we have a lawsuit against Berkeley Heights, which we filed about a year ago, really saying that they're not them not allowing us was an arbitrary and capricious, statement. There was nothing factual to back it up, and they've allowed other organizations similar to ours the permission to hook up. Right? And then just recently, Berkeley Heights filed suit against us and the 5 women that collected the petitions for our initiative.
Wow.
Right.
So to get to the initiative, let's touch base real quick on that before we get done, is what?
Well, the initiative is a process where towns where the government of towns put together under the Faulkner Act, citizens have the right to petition town people to sign, approach town people to sign a petition saying that they would like to have a say in this.
Okay.
Right? And if you get a certain percentage of people, the town has to certify the signatures, and then the town is required to hold an election.
Like a referendum.
That is correct. It's just it can be done by individuals, so I think that's the difference between a referendum and a
But that's how I would understand it.
Exactly the same thing. So we did this back in October, November, and we got way more than enough signatures, almost twice as many as was required. The town certified it, and at that point, the town had 10 days to set an election date.
Yeah.
And they refused to do that.
Yeah.
Right? They, at the town meeting on the 14th of December, they said that they would have the election date, that they were going to determine if they wanted to even set an election date, or not, and they would have that answer by the 18th of December. At the town council meeting at the 18th of December, they said, we're still trying to decide what direction we're going to go on this. On the 19th of December, they filed suit against the 5 women who voluntarily went out and got the petitions and Berkeley Aquatic Club Center of Excellence.
So we got some stuff going on. So, Jim, let's bring it back to where we started.
Yep, okay.
You've been here 36 years.
Correct.
Yeah, Berkeley Aquatics been around a long time.
Yep.
Why should we embrace you? Why should we enable you to make this happen? And what would you bring to the table for Berkeley Heights?
Well, I think what we've brought to the table for Berkeley Heights for the past 36 years is an awful lot. We have done a great job, not just for Berkeley Heights, but for a lot of the surrounding communities, of giving the young people in this town productive, good things to do, with teaching life lessons that are going to help them, through our sport of swimming, creating some champions, not just in the pool, but outside of the pool. We have the highest number of scholastic All-Americans at every single year in New Jersey swimming. Our athletes are dedicated, they are good citizens, and we continue to teach that and work with that. We also do a lot for saving lives and learning and teaching kids how to swim. Yeah. It's a skill that everybody needs to learn. We offer that with professional teachers in a professional way. And again, it's not just Berkeley Heights, we go to a lot of the community. This in no way detracts from Berkeley Heights. It's a good facility where we're going to be able to incorporate more people into it and get other people in the future the same opportunities we've offered to people in the past.
Yeah. No, it makes a lot of sense. If people have questions, I know they can contact me, but I'm not the point man on this.
Yeah.
Is there a way people can get in touch with you if they
Sure.
have questions? What's the best contact way to get you?
If they have questions that are particular questions like this, the best way to do would be go on to backthebac.com, which is our website that goes all through the traffic study, all the environmental studies, everything. But they could also contact me. The easiest way would be jimwood4, at me.com.
All right. And if people have questions, they can come through me as well.
Yep.
It's not a problem. drdefabio@aol.com. So I'll be happy to be the point man for you as well.
Great.
Jim, thank you very much for your time today.
I appreciate it.
We appreciate it.
Okay,
I'm
thanks.
Dr. Donald DeFabio, and thanks for tuning in to Spotlight on Berkeley Heights. We got some issues coming on in town. Hopefully this will give you some good information on what's happening and when and if the referendum, is what I'm going to call it, comes up, you'll have some information on how to proceed. Thanks for tuning in.
Spotlight on Berkeley Heights is provided by funding from DeFabio Chiropractic, where integrity, thoroughness, and a friendly staff have been servicing the community since 1985. DeFabio Chiropractic is where an accurate diagnosis leads to rapid pain relief and better function. Located on Springfield Avenue in Berkeley Heights, it's the natural choice for your healthcare needs.